Well, students of class 8th, today our topic is the British conquest of Bengal. Before this, we have already studied in previous video about the East India Company and three Carnatic Wars: Carnatic War, First Carnatic War, Second Carnatic War, and Third Carnatic War. Now today we are going to discuss about the British conquest of Bengal. So our history shows us that by the middle of 18th century, the Mughal Empire was mostly disintegrated, and the result was in the form of a rise of numerous independent kingdoms across the whole Indian subcontinent. Blinded all these regional kingdoms, all these small kingdoms, independent kingdoms, they work by sheer opportunism and a tendency to promote their own interest. The rulers of those kingdoms gradually separated themselves from one another. It means that those independent kingdoms had not unity. More importantly, the conflicts, the wars among those kingdoms had been happened, whose advantage was taken by the British East India Company. The European colonial powers at that time to take advantage of the situation and establish their territorial rule in India, and the result was that the British East India Company was able to rule over here in our country. Bengal was one of the richest provinces on the Indian subcontinent in those days. The English East India Company had been granted the right of duty-free trade by the Mughal Emperor in 1717. Means in 1717, the Mughal Emperor granted the right of duty-free trade to the English East India Company. This right was being grossly misused by the company officials. The company officials completely misused this right, who carried out private trade without paying any duty. They started their private trade without paying any duty tax. The company thus made huge profit by buying cheaply and selling at a higher price. Then the result was that the East India Company made a huge profit as they bought the raw materials at the cheaper rate and sold their prepared goods at a higher price, thereby eliminating all competitors. The state under Nawabs consequently faced a huge loss of revenue. The last powerful Nawab of Bengal, whose name was Ali Wardi Khan, was succeeded by his grandson Sirajuddaulah. He wanted to check the English East India Company's bid to extend the fortifications of Fort Williams and check the gross misuse of free passage are the tax that exempted company goods from taxes. He also refused to give more trades, concessions, and privileges to English East India Company. Enraged by this, Sirajuddaula captured Calcutta and compelled the officials of the company to surrender. The Battle of Plassey. With their defeat, Robert Clive was sent from Madras Presidency to recapture Calcutta. He conspired with Mir Jafar, the commander-in-chief of Sirajuddaula. Robert Clive talked secretly with Mir Jafar, who was the commander-in-chief of the Sirajuddaula. The English East India Company officials also managed to win over other important members of Sirajuddaulla's court, such as Jagat Seth, who was the banker, and Omi Chand, who was a rich merchant. With their support, the British forces defeated the forces of Nawab Sirajuddaulah in the Battle of Plassey in 1757. That's why the Britishers again recaptured Calcutta and became the real power in Bengal. In accordance with what the English East India Company officials had wished, Mir Jafar became the puppet Nawab of Bengal. Puppet Nawab means whatever the English East India Company had said at that time, Mir Jafar had done the same. The company made heavy monetary demands which the Nawab was unable to meet. But in later years, the English East India Company had demanded, and the demand which the Nawab was unable to meet. He also refused to grant more trade privileges to the company. Mir Jafar denied to give some more privileges to the company. So the company deposed Mir Jafar and installed his son-in-law Mir Qasim in his place. That's why the English East India Company deposed Mir Jafar and his son-in-law Mir Qasim was being the Nawab of Bengal. The Battle of Buxar. Mir Qasim, the new Nawab of Bengal, soon realized his position of dependence on the English East India Company. Mir Qasim. He tried to consolidate his power to free himself from the company. To begin with, he dismissed all of Mir Jafar's officials who were close to the company. That's why Mir Qasim, first of all, removed all those officials who was being faithful at the reign of Mir Jafar, and also being faithful to the English East India Company. He also invited European mercenaries to train his soldiers in the new method of warfare and abolished the taxes on internal trade, much to the dislike of the British. He also tried to check misuse of trade privileges of the. In the Battle of Buxar, Mir Qasim, with the help of the Nawab of Awadh Sujauddaulah and the Mughal Emperor Shah Alam II, fought with the English East India Company, in which they were defeated. By the forces of the Real Bengal. Thereafter, in 1765, Shujaud-Dowla and Shah Alam signed a treaty with English East India Company at Allahabad. In that treaty, the Mughal emperor granted the Diwani, that is the right to collect revenue from Bengal, Bihar and Odisha, to the English East India Company. In return, the British East India Company has provided an annual tribute of rupees 26 lakhs. The Nawab of Awadh had to pay. He had got the punishment of rupees 50 lakh to what were the loss in the War of Buxar. His kingdom was also restored to him as a British protectorate. Diwani allowed the company to use the vast revenue resources of Bengal. This revenue could be used to purchase cotton and silk textile in India, maintain company soldiers, and meet the cost of building the company's forts and offices at Calcutta. Thereafter, dual administration. During the Battle of Buxar, Robert Clive came to Calcutta. There he introduced the system of dual government or diarchy. Under this system, the Nawab had powers of military and criminal jurisdiction, while the company had the power to collect the revenue. It means that all the powers are vested in the hands of English East India Company, but no responsibilities with them. On the other hand, the Nawab had all the responsibilities but no power. But but finally, the result was that the Bengal suffered tremendously. Finally, Warren Hastings came to India as the Governor General, and he ended the dual government in 1772 and brought Bengal under the direct control of company's administration. Thank you.